what happened with the debt relief bot deployment.
Debt relief bot, yes.
Tell us the DRB story, please.
Yeah, so this definitely was interesting. We integrated Clanker into Bankr, right? And Bankr is the sole way to deploy Clankers on X currently. And kind of made a push there, did some announcements about that. People started deploying all these tokens. Then somebody was having a conversation with Grok, and essentially got Grok to recommend a token to Bankr. And of course, Bankr then deployed that token. Now, this is Grok. We're talking about one of the most popular AIs in the world, run by, the richest man in the world, right? So obviously there's going to be some hype around this token. And there was, and still is. So, it's just in a massive down market, there was a few coins that were rallying extremely hard, and that one of them was DRB, Debt Relief Bot, Bankr, riding the wave of the hype on Twitter, Clanker. So these projects kind of started by Farcaster builders were kind of the only things doing well in the market. And I think the DRB narrative is something that mainstream news outlets and regular people can get behind, oh, that's interesting. Debt relief bot. Grok wanted to launch this coin. What a noble AI. He wants to relieve people's debt. And I think a lot of people's debt has been relieved. Seeing different screenshots oh, I paid my taxes with debt relief bot. So thank you.
Yo, grab your headphones, get ready to vibe. ZEROPOD is coming at you when we're doing it live. ZEROPOD, yo, I said ZEROPOD, yo, ZEROPOD.
Hey everyone, Future Toady here. Welcome to another episode of ZEROPOD, the zero copyright video podcast for people who enjoy Ethereum. Hopefully that's you. This week's show is a special one because it's actually the very first podcast appearance by the elusive figure known only as 0xDeployer, aka Big Daddy Ham, the creator of so many things, but most recently the breakout success Bankr, an AI agent that can trade for you using natural language on X and Farcaster. My co-host JackWyldes and I dug in to get all the lore, all the alpha, and so much more. Hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. This is exciting. Jack and I were talking before, and I don't know if you've ever been on a podcast before, or at least we couldn't find one that you had been on before. Maybe Spaces, but have you ever been on a pod?
Yeah, not really. I did one with Jesse when he was doing those base ones. We had another project that we talked about. But that was a year ago or something. I don't know. It's probably since been deleted, lost somewhere.
Yeah,
lost into the ether.
That's what happens. All good content.
I love it. Well,
lost.
Yeah, dude, people have been hitting me up for Spaces and stuff. I hate Spaces, so I kind of want to be the guy with the reputation that just doesn't do Spaces. But
I love it.
You guys are great. And I'm sure people would want to hear me say something. So I figured you guys are cool and might as well do it. And I don't have to be on camera either. I guess I guess I don't want to dox myself. Just even my I've got a LinkedIn, and even recently some guy was contacting me and saying I was a scammer in Web3 because what happened, I had an LLC that I registered called, and this was several years ago. I never used it, but he got scammed by some Twitter account with the name. So he looks up, he sees my name, this guy starts going after me.
Because when you're going to scam people, the first thing you do is register an LLC.
and with my actual name, with my name, and yeah. So it was and I wouldn't have cared but he was posting on LinkedIn, and it was the first thing you saw when you Googled my name. Was his crazy post. So I was I got to get him to take it down. Anyway, he ended up he took him down, but I had to get a lawyer involved.
That's awful.
So I figure
he basically doxed you then? Did he connect you to
No, he didn't connect me. That's the thing. Like
Okay.
I have a limited like Web3 LinkedIn, like with just some stuff I've done publicly.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I just could imagine like if I tie myself to Bankr publicly, just
Yeah.
like so many people, just like so many weird people out there, man.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
why
that-
that's why I'm not doing it.
That's why I like pseudonymity too. Like even though like obviously people could dox you if they really want to, it's just nice to have, you know, you not have to worry about a $5 wrench attack or any of the other things that can be an issue in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, Deployer, one of the things we like to do on this podcast is we like to start with sort of the person behind the project. And I know you're not doxxed, so, you know, feel free to share only as much as you are comfortable sharing. But we'd love to hear a little bit about your story, sort of how you grew up, where you grew up, and how you sort of became the Wasi that we all know and love.
Sure, man. So, childhood, fine. I mean, kind of tying it to tech origins. Was a kid in the 90s, had like Super Nintendo was like my first gaming console and like fell in love
go.
with, those games.
What was your favorite SNES game?
Yeah, no, specifically was Zelda, A Link to the Past. Like so epic. Like just I look back and like growing up in that time was like really cool. I mean, in my opinion, it was like, just on the cusp of like where we are now, where like every kid has like an iPhone or like an iPad, or like exposed to like YouTube. Like technology was there, but it like wasn't so connected. So it was like still this like personal little bubble, which was like really cool, right? Like you're playing games, but like you're offline. It's like, just like I think a really cool time for technology. And then like the early 2000s with those like funky, like clear plastic things, and like Tamagotchis were so fucking cool.
And like, Drew Kaufman from Base, he's always posting stuff with that aesthetic, like from that like clear plastic tech. And I agree. Like we need
like
that shit
super
back.
Interesting, like little period of time, for technology, like where things were like coming online, and we look back now and like the technology was not great, but like, at the time it was like so innovative, so fun. That time period was like super interesting for technology.
Well, for one thing, crypto gaming is kind of like at that level right now. Like we're playing like Bejeweled, right? Is where we're at right now with on-chain gaming.
Yeah.
There is this weird, clear thing about that 90s. Well, one, it's a huge aesthetic right now, and I think it really fits in with the culture of people building on chain. But it's something about the tangible nature of the old tech. Something about that, just holding it. It felt good. And I really like what you were saying. Like the offline part of it was nice. You're still touching grass while playing your Game Boy or whatever. It just felt you had to have your friend over. It was very community oriented or personal. It could be either one. It could just be you and Zelda, or you guys could be, later on when you got to like Halo LAN parties or whatever, and you're just hanging out with, you still got to be in the same room. And I do sometimes miss that era,
It could get quite intimate too, when you take the game out and blow into the cartridge.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. I think, I hope that we're making a shift back towards, like more personal technology. Like I feel like the last, kind of generation of technology has really been dominated by ads and social media and just, this global network. And it's really like not been, it's been not super great. Like on X or, anything, like the content that people are consuming is like not great. Right. And like the algorithms are pushing like this kind of like gross,
except for our content, which is amazing.
Right. Except for our content. Like, but like, the things like, like the things that do well on social media are like these gross, like extreme things.
Yeah.
And I really hope that like we're making a shift back towards more like quality and like, and I wouldn't say like artistic, but it's almost in that realm of like, it's like, I don't know, like indie, artists, like stuff that is quality to you. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And I feel like that shift is
Boutique,
happening
almost.
because people boutique is a good word for it. Like people don't like this extreme even though it's like kind of addicting. I feel like, you know, there's a brain aspect to of it too.
When you say extreme content, are you talking about like you know, like vulgar videos and like this kind of thing, or just like
Like I've got you know, like unused like X accounts, like in the default algorithm is like
Yeah.
fight videos, you know, kill some like death videos. Like it's gross. Like I don't want to see that. You know, people getting into fights or getting upset.
I noticed that with my kid too. Like my 2-year-old will sometimes like press the bottom buttons on YouTube and start going down the rabbit hole. And some of the slop that he ends up finding is just great. Like it's kid stuff, but it's like the most low effort, like overdub of some stolen like AI ripoff of Paw Patrol. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah, yeah, and
anyway.
you know, and so we're in an interesting time. Like, you know, I mean, it is good. I think, you know, yeah, Elon Musk. I saw him posting about like what problems, you know, do you see on X, and a lot of people were saying, kind of echoing what we're talking about, is like the algorithm kind of sucks and like the content is not great. Like we don't want to see that. I think humanity gets it, but like this is what the biggest platforms are kind of pushing. So like we need kind of a change at the top, and but how do we get that? Is like people complaining. People complain enough about it, then it changes. So I think that's happening. But yeah, the AI stuff, very cool. At the same time, a bit scary, like as far as content goes. I mean, I was just thinking, you know, this is kind of extreme and a bit dark, so I apologize. But like a coordinated attack where there's, you know, a video and phone calls going out and messaging of like a world leader that might have nukes. Like there's going to be a nuclear attack on the U.S. and the content is so convincing that people believe it. Like that could happen. Like that's very kind of a scary thing to think about. Like and like, you know, if you're fooling people or government officials.
Have you guys been on Facebook lately? Like, I mean, it's pretty crazy what's going on over there. I mean, for the generation that's still using it, the misinformation happening there to my grandparents and to my even parents sometimes, I'm like, guys, this is tough, you know. And I do think that that's where it's been a little more rampant, because usually the people.
That's because that's their sandbox.
Exactly.
Like if you're trying to create a video like that,
exactly.
you're gonna go to Facebook first. You're like, we can
And
definitely fool the grannies.
I agree with you though. It is scary.
No,
scary.
I have family members, older family members of mine have been tricked, and I'm like, you know, that's AI, right? And they're like, oh no, I didn't know that actually. Yeah, so I think it's like the a lot older and younger. I mean, you know, unless you're like working in tech, you've probably never heard about like, you know, what the proper security measures are for like securing your digital life, right? It's like maybe you've got like a post-it note on your computer with like your passwords on it, you know, and so
and these are the people we're trying to onboard to crypto to be their own bank.
Right. That is that's the thing, right? Like,
well, let's go back to, we were chatting a little bit about your childhood, and obviously you're a gamer growing up. What did you know, what's the cliche? What did you want to be when you grew up? Did you ever have an idea what you wanted to do for your career when you were younger?
you know, it's funny. I did. I remember like probably. So you know, I was. My parents got a computer, probably like 9 years old, 9 years old, and I remember building websites. You know, Geocities and different, you know, various
Geocities. Let's go.
Yeah, website publishing platforms, and it was just so fun, so cool. You know, I'd spend hours doing it. You know, like many other kids, like loved Pokemon and video games, and like would make little Pokemon websites. And I remember getting like I had like some computer magazine subscription, and there's like this 13-year-old kid who like built like a search engine ad tool, like it would add your website to search engines, and it was there's an article about him, and like he sold that company or something. I'm like, this kid, 13 years old, built this like cool thing and like sold it, and like he built like a company. Like, I want to build something cool, that people like. And so I think like ever since I was a kid, I just had this like drive to like want to build something cool, that people like, that people will use, right? That I built on the computer, because it was like such a I don't know, just like was really into it, like, and it was very appealing to me. So
That's awesome. That's some pretty good lore. Pretty good lore.
Good lore. So like looking back, like, is Bankr that thing? Like, I've built various things, but like I think that's kind of like been like this just this drive to like build cool products, and it's kind of translated well, into my adult life.
I was thinking about that today because Jack and I had the guys from Clanker on the pod 2 pods ago. And that was one of the things about Alex, which is that like both of us got to see Alex sort of building some pretty cool things on Farcaster from early days, and like just iterating and trying different things. And it's really it's really cool and really satisfying to see someone hit it, like hit the right thing and really find that success like he did with Clanker after like iterating and trying so many things. And I feel like that's totally how it happened for you too. And we're going to go through some of the things that you've built before, and they're all amazing. But it's really cool to see you have this like breakthrough success with Bankr.
Yeah, for sure. No. Yeah. I mean, the building in the social feed is like so powerful, right? And like, for those that don't know, like, I was building on the Farcaster, since February 2024 or something, like the last year and a half or whatever it was, starting with like Ham and TN100X, so it started, saw what DGen was doing on Farcaster with DGen tipping. Like, that was super interesting to me. And, I've always kind of tried out new technologies, as they came online, and kind of, built something with them.
I definitely want to dig into sort of your Farcaster story, because I feel like that's all part of the Bankr story in a way. But before we jump into that, between childhood and when you started coding things and releasing things on Farcaster, like did you end up going to school to try to reach those goals of building something that people loved, or what was your path?
Yeah, path. So like middle school, high school, took kind of a hiatus, was a bit of a troublemaker and a rebel.
No way.
Yeah.
Deployer.
And yeah, so kind of doing that in high school. But then, once I got around, college age, I did like just and I was still like, around that time I kind of got back into like building websites and stuff, and was playing a lot of Call of Duty at the time, and like built a website for our Call of Duty clan.
Nice.
And then it kind of reminded me, oh yeah, like I enjoy doing this stuff, and I was going to like a community college at the time, and like taking some coding classes and things like that. And I was actually like not like, it took me a while to like grasp like more advanced coding. Like I could build websites like very easily, but like more advanced coding, like it took me a while to get. And I had like a job interview. So like while I was, going to this community college, I was also like working and like building websites for people. And I landed like an interview for like a more advanced like coding role. And I realized during the interview, like I knew nothing the guy was asking me, to like just completely embarrass myself. And after that, like I went to like Barnes and Noble and got this book, like teach yourself
coding for dummies, or
yeah, pretty much like coding for like teach yourself. I think it was like teach yourself JavaScript in 24 hours. Like I just went through the book and that's like really where I learned how. Like I didn't learn how to code at school. I learned from this book, and started with JavaScript, which I think and this is a bit more technical, but like starting with JavaScript first, like that's like, the scripting language of the web, and it's since, gone to like the server side, but like that's really been positive for like building products, right? Because the first thing people see is like the website and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
I have this like almost like product ability on top of like coding, which has been like super beneficial when it comes to like building products, right? Because like I have a sense for it. So, kind of was doing that, and ended up like just basically getting hired at like this tech company, and ended up leaving that community college. So it's like not drop, I guess, yeah, dropping dropping. I had like a year and a half left, but like I just, this is what I wanted to do. So went and worked at this tech company for a while, and kind of just, working at various tech companies, and then, again, driven to just kind of do my own thing. So, that's where I ultimately ended up, just building my own stuff. Yeah. So, but
where did Deployer fall
Yeah.
down the crypto rabbit hole? I'd love to hear that story.
yeah, I will. Hang on one sec. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Coinbase, stop calling Deployer. We're trying to do
I'm trying to
podcast.
I'm trying to hang on. Sorry. Let me
It's all good.
I don't know why I got do not disturb on, but it keeps coming through. Yeah, so crypto. I actually got into crypto like 2017 by way of CryptoKitties. Nice. Actually. So I had a friend who like had mentioned Ethereum to me before, and so I was like, and so I had bought some, around that time. It was like $80 or something. I didn't keep it, right? I sold it. Like I probably sold it when it went up to like $90. I'm like, yeah. But then saw crypto, yeah. Then saw CryptoKitties, and like this is super interesting. Like digital ownership just made sense to me, and like again, like this was purely like from a technological viewpoint. Like I wasn't concerned about the financial aspect at all.
Right.
Like just more so like looking at like, here's a better way, like an actual way to like own digital goods. Like, typically these things were stored in databases, and now
wait, so you're the guy that's actually in it for the tech? Is that what you're saying? You found him.
Yeah, no, I definitely am in it for the tech. I mean, I've always been a believer of the tech, and like when people ask me, so do you think like blockchain or Ethereum is going to stick around? I'd say, I can't really speak to the price, but like if you look at the technology, like it's vastly superior to traditional systems, and so in that sense, yes, the technology is not going to go away.
Why is that? Why do you think it is vastly superior? Because a lot of people who are, critical of blockchain, of Ethereum, will say that, oh, this is just a glorified SQL, blah, blah, blah. Like, so what do you say to those people?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got this decentralized network with hundreds and hundreds. I don't know how many nodes are being run across the world. But, nobody can turn it off essentially. And like, there's the cryptographic primitives that assign ownership to your funds. And it's, just the transparent ledger of transactions, right? That anybody can connect to and build on, right? And it's, so just like, it's a ledger that's available for anyone to use. So, it sends money, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, so just the decentralized aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think the decentralization piece is important because people always love to say like, it's easy to tweet on the timeline, oh, nobody cares about decentralization, or end users don't care about decentralization. But I always think like they don't until they do, right? It's like, it's one of those things like you think you don't care about it, but then when you get deplatformed, or, or you can't get on the internet, or you can't get on X or whatever, then all of a sudden you care about these things that you didn't before.
Right, right. And I think like we understand that, right? Like but yeah, so like if you're just posting on X and like you're like, well, why do I want to go to Farcaster? Like, yeah, exactly. You don't care about it until, you need to. And so like and uh like yeah, Elon Musk can ban accounts, or anybody at X can ban accounts on a whim, and you don't really know why they do. And we see it. We see a lot of that is like, X is obviously a very powerful platform, but it's controlled by one, or a small group of people, and that's a lot of power to give to a small group of people for something that like so many people use. So yeah.
And everybody has their motives, even if they try not to be. Like there's always going to be some, I don't know, some bit of influence from the people controlling it. There will be some amount. I did want to say something that I thought was kind of interesting. You said CryptoKitties, right? I mean, that was Dapper Labs, right? Dapper Labs, they deserve more flowers, I think, because a lot of people got into crypto or NFTs or on chain at least a little bit through them. I mean, I got in through Top Shot. Toady, didn't you originally get in through Top Shot? Also Dapper Labs?
Yeah,
and
Top
then
Shot
I've
was my
heard
first
so many
NFT.
people before with CryptoKitties. I just feel like people don't talk about it much anymore, but I think that's cool that you found the chain through Dapper Labs and CryptoKitties.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you're right. Like, and 2021 was a wild time for NFTs, as we know. Like, we had the Top Shot era, and yeah, I'm not sure. I don't follow Dapper Labs on the regular, but I assume that the massive burst of the NFT bubble definitely hurt them a bit.
It's crazy to me though that it's still going. Like, I don't know why, but I saw something recently. Like, Top Shot emailed me like a promotion. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you guys are still doing this shit? Like, it's crazy to me that 4 years later people are still like, who's going on Top Shot? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I mean, apparently they're still doing volume, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of 2021, what was your first NFT? Do you remember?
First NFT, I mean, it probably was a CryptoKitty. Then, like, I made a few like NFTs of my own. Like, I'm not an artist, so like, I was just working with the guy, and they're just like he drew something, and I like just made it an NFT. Just to like test out the technology, and like I wanted to build like a kind of a CryptoKitties thing myself, and I actually went down that rabbit hole where you could collect these various kind of grungy characters.
Was that the LP, or was this before the LP?
No, this was way before. This is like 2017, 2018.
Oh wow, that's really early. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna make it like a little app where you could collect them on your phone, and I would abstract the crypto complexity away, and you could pay with a credit card. But at the time, like, no credit card processor would touch anything related to crypto, even the high risk ones. Like, it was very hard to find like a credit card processor. So anyway, I ended up like scrapping that idea, and that actually got me more bullish on decentralization. So I'm like, one, like, Apple has like rejected my app from the App Store.
Yeah.
Okay. And two, these credit card processing companies are like rejecting my idea. And like, why do they have so much power over the things that I can or cannot build and ship? So I'm like, I get it. Like, that's the reason for decentralization, right? Like, on Ethereum, if I build this on Ethereum, sure, the UX is going to be a little more difficult for people, but we're eventually going to get better UX. But at least nobody can like say, no, you can't build that app, right? So like, that was kind of a light bulb moment for me on why decentralization is important. right? Like it just gives so much power back to the people, essentially, right? Like, you know, yeah, you can be your own bank, and there's obviously like security risks that go into that, but it's like so empowering that like you take back the control. Like, and I think that's like such a powerful narrative, right? And I think that was like the core to like why Bitcoin launched, is like you have all these powerful entities controlling our financial lives. So, you know, and blockchain fixes that.
Yeah. Sorry, very libertarian ideals, and yeah, I enjoy that aspect, but I didn't realize how much I enjoyed the decentralization at first. At first I just thought I'm getting on chain because I understand a digital collectible just through my days of playing Magic or collecting things or gaming. Like I got that. It felt right. It made sense to me why people would want these. And then as I learned more and as I kept getting deeper, the decentralization part is what's really helped me stick around and like made me appreciate it so much more. So yeah, I agree. It just like took a little bit for it to click with me, but it just like you, like once you see it, then you're like, oh yeah, wow, it's such a big deal.
Speaking of the decentralization piece, maybe it's a good segue to start talking about Farcaster, because I know a lot of the Bankr story is rooted in Farcaster. So I'd love to hear sort of how you first heard about Farcaster, how you ended up there, why you ended up there, and just your general thoughts on Farcaster as a platform.
Sure. So, I mean, as you know, like crypto Twitter has been kind of the go-to place for the last several years. So, I was always on Twitter, and then saw people talking about Farcaster. When did I join? I think I don't remember. My FID is like 4482. Wow. So like earlier I joined. Yeah.
Flex.
So like early, one of the first 5,000 people at least. But I signed up kind of early because I remember I saw Dan on Twitter like giving out invites. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Again, going back to like just tinkering with new things. Reached out for an invite, gave me an invite code. I signed up and kind of didn't really use it all that much until just before they launched Frames, like the first version of Frames. And that's kind of a few weeks before that. I was like back on Farcaster, kind of exploring things. And that's probably like around the time where I started realizing what Farcaster was, and again, why it's so cool, and like kind of connecting the dots that this is a decentralized social network, right? That anybody can tie into, right? Like, so anybody can spin up a hub, and I know they're moving to a different architecture, I think Snapchain or something like that. But same thing. Like anybody can spin up a hub and read and write to the network. Like that's a super powerful thing. Unlike Twitter, for example, where if you want to access the network programmatically, you need to pay like $100 or $5,000 a month, and then the next tier up from $5,000 is $48,000 a month if you want to pay X Co to access their data. And again, they have like obscure rules that really people don't know exactly what they are, and they can ban your account or limit your access at any time, right? Unlike Farcaster, where like they just can't do that. Like anybody can read or write to the network, and they can't ban your account. I mean, they can hide it from apps, can hide it, but you can have many apps built on top of the network, right? And like that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So like again, like I hope we're moving towards that model of decentralization. And so like, but that's like perfect for builders like myself, because it makes it really easy to build like interesting new products, right? Like you saw Degen, Jacek, was just doing this kind of experiment that like was very cool and like kind of changed the meta. Like, so you have this decentralized network where you can read from the network, so you can see everybody's posts. Well, why not check to see if this post is a tip, and like build this whole kind of leaderboard point system on top of it. And so now you have this like super interesting product that Jacek built.
And the idea too, like the novelty of having the tip come from future emissions too, which hadn't been done before.
Future emissions, yeah, and like you're building and you're using like you're capturing this social data to like assign people points in a social score. Like that's super interesting that you just it's not feasible to do on X because because Farcaster is like you also have wallets connected to the accounts, and that's a big unlock that you have this like crypto wallet attached to a person's account. So you can do these kind of financial social experiments, which is super cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do when you have that moneyness attached to the social graph. It's such a superpower.
Right. And like and it gets you thinking like I mentioned earlier, like social media has really been dominated by ads and ad revenue. And so like now, we're headed towards this place where we're like experimenting with these new financial models that are like much more appealing than ads. Like nobody likes to see you go on a traditional like news website and it's just like you can't even read it because like the ads are just all over the screen. And so like this model of like participation where maybe your community is like talking about your product and like and you're paying the community maybe instead of an ads, like, but you still get that viral reach because everybody's talking about it. I think it's just going to become like eventually like kind of just a normal thing, right? It's like same with like AI or these new technologies coming online, and crypto too. Like people are going to be using it in their day-to-day lives, and they're really not going to be able. They're not going to even know that they're really using it behind the scenes, but it's just going to be so normal, right? I think that's kind of where we're headed, and where we'll be in the next few years.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the goal, right? I feel like it has to be less about, I don't know. We need the people like you who are exploring and building to make it easy and just everyday accessible for people like me or people like, my family or, I think it's, I agree with you. When we get to that point, that's when we know it's truly successful, but it will be there eventually.
Yeah, I agree.
You talked a little bit about the tipping culture that Jacek sort of tipped off, no pun intended, with DGen. But can you talk a little bit about what you did with floaties, and also maybe sort of weave in how TNX 100 was sort of related to that, and Ham. We kind of want to hear basically the story of the deployer product suite leading up to Bankr, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So. Yeah, I mean, I had done stuff prior to Ham and TN100X, but it all started, the Ham story all started off with the mint of the based LP NFTs.
Right.
And this was like the tagline was this well-funded, slightly overweight character on the blockchain, right? Like I've always been a fan of like on-chain NFTs, like nouns, loot, blitmaps, so what a bunch of others, tons of other
Apex,
this point, like,
everything Apex has ever made.
Yeah, Apex, for sure, man. So and so I've always kind of experimented in that realm, and I wanted to take it a little further, and so I had launched a couple years ago called the LP. Same guy, same character, but it was on
mainnet though, right?
On mainnet, but the art and all the traits are completely on chain, in the smart contract, and then I did a new version, the based LP on Base, but this one had some different mechanics, and there was a token attached, and is kind of going, total meme, kind of silly, fun, so, everyone was talking about the next 100X, what's the next 100X? And so, I came up with the meme coin the next 100x meme coin on base.
Manifest.
But really as a joke, right? And so, the based LP character was the number one holder of TN100X. And so, but I wanted to showcase with the project, like what was possible with smart contracts, right? Because when I launched the original version, like people were losing money left and right to new NFT mints where, there'd be massive hype at the beginning and then just, straight down, like down only, like, and a lot of people are getting burnt. And so like, I thought like, there's gotta be a better way. And we have smart contracts. Like why aren't people like utilizing them to do interesting things? And so the LP concept had like anti-rug mechanisms in it. Like for example, like there was a time limit, like a decreasing Dutch auction in price for like X amount of days. And like if the project didn't sell out in X amount of days, then everybody would be refunded essentially, and the project would end, because that, just kind of would indicate that there wasn't enough interest in the project. And so like you could still keep your NFTs, they'd be locked, you can transfer them, but like,
thank God that didn't happen. We might not have Bankr today.
Yeah, thank God that didn't happen. Like so it did, it did sell out, and people always wait till the end, but then like it did sell out, and then it actually used half of the funds to create a pool on SudoSwap. So instead of like, and this was kind of another anti-rug mechanism, right? Where another thing we saw is just teams getting all this money and then like not really doing anything with it. And so at a minimum, like use half of the proceeds to just go back and like, so there's instant liquidity for the NFT. So like if you wanted to exit the project, you could. You may not get all your money back, but you get some back, which is better than none. But then additionally, we introduced the token, TN100X. So added an interesting mechanic to these NFTs. Each one was backed by TN100X. And you could burn the NFT to redeem the token. And yep, every time you burnt the NFT, you'd receive 60% of the backing, and 40% of the backing would go to back the remaining NFTs. So as people burnt, the supply became less, but they'd be backed by more of the token. So kind of this like game, right? Like if you have the last based LP NFT, he's going to have the most token backing. Like you've made it.
And have the economics played out the way you thought they might? Like have the remaining NFTs become more valuable because of their increased backing? How has the game theory worked?
So actually, the entirety of Ham and the Ham ecosystem was funded and supported by this initial mint, and then the LP strategy on Aerodrome. So like this simple mint, and it didn't bring in too much funds. Like it sold out at the last minute, and when the price was like super low. But it proved that like you can use these experimental models to like fund your project. And so I added some amount of TN100X and some of the proceeds to Aerodrome, and like utilize the Aerodrome flywheel to support the project. And that's still going today. Like there's 245% APR on Aerodrome this week for TN100X.
Yeah.
So, and that was more than a year ago. And so, and Ham got expensive, because there was a lot of processes running. So backing up a little bit. So, so the based LP, how it translated or eventually became Ham. So created this community on Farcaster and kind of pushed like, hey, doing this mint, the based LP to the Farcaster community, and started building the LP community. And there's a couple hundred people or less, I don't know, in the channel at the time. And this is when I saw the degen stuff, and I'm like, that's interesting. Should we do a similar thing and we can tip using LP as the symbol? So like send Toady 100 LP. And then I think, and it was thinking about that, I hadn't implemented it yet, but at the time I was building like just kind of a mini game, like a dungeon crawler associated with this other NFT project called Heroes. And so like you could play with your hero in the dungeon, and it was based on like on-chain, like completely on-chain stuff. And
I feel like you're always like max side questing. I love it.
Max side questing, max on-chain, EVM maxi kind of, but just building like different various experiments and like trying to build fun things. But I added the based LP character to the game, and when you beat the boss, which was like this big baby LP guy, you would win a purple ham. Sorry, backing up further. This was before the purple ham, there was the golden hams. I forgot about golden ham. Sorry, the timeline is a bit obscured in my mind. So after the based LP launch, I introduced the golden hams, where you could stake your TN100X for a certain amount of time to earn more TN100X, basically. And so that's right. This is how it played out. So everybody was.
Why did you call it a ham to begin with? Just
I don't know. I just thought it was funny and silly, and like and I thought like the ham went well with the character, and he liked ham. But then like it kind of went viral on Farcaster. For everybody was talking about hams, and like people are like, what is this ham that is all over the, like they're talking about the golden ham as like this pixelated sparkly ham. So that was kind of like the first kind of as viral as it could be on Farcaster at the time, kind of experiment. Like people were seeing it. And at the time, like that was kind of the power of Farcaster. I think it still is that the signal to noise ratio is pretty good. So like you can be noticed more so on Farcaster with these, if you're building interesting things, right? So yeah, people were talking about hams and what is this ham? And I think that's probably when I asked the question to the community, like, should we tip with hams? Should we tip with the ham emoji? Like that would be funny, right? Like you just drop the ham emoji as a comment, and it would like send a tip, right? And at the time kind of modeled it off degen, where it was this kind of off-chain point system that would lead into an airdrop. And so it did that for a while. And like I said, kept building on the ham lore, added the ham to the game, and everyone's tipping ham. And then eventually led to the airdrop. And this, tied into the launch of Hamchain, like a layer 3 blockchain that was ham, is a
that was ham. The layer 3 blockchain, which was ham, yes.
Which was ham. And this is kind of a funny thing. So like, kind of planning out the tokenomics of the airdrop, and like weighing that against like how much liquidity was available, and like trying to figure all that out. And like, I think I had an Alpha Friends chat, when people were still doing Alpha Friends, and people were asking about like how much the airdrop is going to be. And I'm like, probably like, I don't know, probably $800,000 worth of TN100X. And like some guy had screenshotted that and posted it. And for some reason, a bunch of people thought that like $800,000 was not enough value to airdrop. And there was this massive FUD event against TN100X, which was insane to me. And we ended up like, I ended up airdropping like $1 million worth of TN100X. it just kind of goes to show like what kind of some people, what kind of people
The
kind of
entitlement.
exist in this space. And like, it's just nuts to me. Like that wasn't enough, but like, but at the same time, it's like, I don't, it didn't matter, right? There's such like, the ham community, man. Like I've never experienced such an awesome, like community of like committed people. Like it's so cool. And like, that's very much like why Bankr became so successful. It was like guaranteed, like the ham, people started calling it the ham cult, the cult of ham. Like, it's just so powerful, what you can accomplish when you are part of a dedicated community, right? And that's what happened with ham. And I don't even know how it happened. Like it just kind of did. It's so cool. So anyway, did the L3, did the airdrop, it was fine, but then with the introduction of Hamchain, I started experimenting with like more on-chain tipping mechanisms. And so in the end, ham, when you would tip a ham, it would actually send a token directly on chain, the moment you tipped it. And you mentioned floaties, which
it was no longer this off-chain ledger anymore.
Right. It wasn't an off-chain point system anymore. Now it was like, this is actually sending real currency, real tokens directly.
Which is pretty crazy. It's pretty
the Farcaster wallet, right? So like, so there's a lot of systems on the back end that made sure that happened. But like, I've even talked with the DGen team about doing it. I know they want to move to an on-chain system as well. And so like, since then, like, and Hamchain has since wound down, but I definitely shared my findings with them and even shared some code with them. And so, I think the future of tipping is on chain, but then it's like, how do agents come into the mix? Like now, like Bankr can send coins directly on chain. So interesting space to be building in.
What was the reason for winding down Hamchain? Is it just because you needed your focus to be laser focused on Bankr, or was it just it's not the right timing for L3s and that's why the DGen one is struggling too? Or what are your thoughts on
that? So the reason there is like, I've got a lot on my plate, right? So, and Bankr started seeing early signs of success, and Ham was amazing. But it was always like very niche, right? Like it was hard to get new people, to come into the ecosystem because there was a lot going on, right? Like I explained everything that happened, and like, unless you're kind of following from the beginning, it's like, wow, there's a lot going on. I don't really know.
It's a deep lore.
It's kind of confusing, to be honest, right? And it was.
Yeah.
It's deep lore. And some people are into the deep lore, right?
Yeah,
and I think
people love that. Yeah.
That's why we got the cult. Right. So like, on one hand, it's like, it's awesome. On the other hand, like, like I was saying, like, it's very expensive to like keep all the systems running. Hard to bring on new people. Whereas Bankr, like, the minute you told somebody about it, they immediately understood it and they saw the value in it. And so, it was a difficult decision to wind down Ham, but given I'm one guy, I needed to focus.
Are you though? Because I don't know.
I've heard I have clones. No, I think I just drink more coffee and stay up later and, just work really hard to get these things done.
Well, we've got to the point of the story now where Bankr is born, which is pretty exciting because I think a lot of people tuning into this pod probably know you from the recent Bankr stuff that's been happening. So I'd love to hear a little bit about the Bankr origin story. Like, where did you get the idea to make? Well, first of all, what is Bankr, and where did you get the idea from?
Yeah, so Bankr is an AI agent that abstracts complex crypto actions into a single message. And so, it's an agent that can send, buy, swap, do various other it can place limit orders for you all through a single message. So you can say, hey, Bankr, buy me these coins, and it'll do it for you. Or Bankr, buy me this coin and sell it when it pumps 5%, it'll do it for you. And you can
in natural language, right?
In natural language, and you can access it directly on X, on Farcaster, and through like a private terminal if you want to interact with Bankr privately. And yeah, so and how we kind of started with Bankr was I was kind of we saw, and again it goes back to Farcaster where people are kind of just building interesting things. You saw Martin with his AI agent associated with Hire.
Aether, yeah.
Aether, yeah. And so like I think that was kind of on Farcaster at least. He kind of kicked off the Farcaster agent meta. And I think right before that they had the Twitter thing, the Truth Terminal. I'm not too sure about the details there, but yeah. So was thinking about agents and like, could Ham have an agent? And I was actually exploring an agent called the Hamturn 5000. I didn't know exactly what it would do. But then Clanker launched, and and I was talking to I do have a co-founder with Bankr, somebody I've worked with before, like on an earlier project.
I didn't know that. Secret co-founder.
Secret
Alpha.
co-founder. Yeah, and so so and we had been looking. So we did a project, NFT infra project back in 2021 that actually was acquired by a major exchange, and I worked with him on it.
Nice.
He's more of the business side of things, but we've been in touch obviously ever since, and kind of thinking about the next thing we could build. And we were having a conversation about kind of what was happening, on Farcaster and on social, and we're talking about Clanker. And I was just telling him about, there's this agent that deploys coins for people. And, we both kind of got to the point in the conversation, well, why don't we have an agent that like buys coins for you and like, swaps coins for you and like does that stuff. And it started with that simple premise. And that's, that week I like jammed on Bankr, and really just so it could buy new Clankers, because everyone's launching Clankers. So it could buy new Clankers for you and send them to your Farcaster connected wallet. And it kind of was a hit, and like people were using it. And, and then I was thinking about like building new features, like, okay, I wanted to like swap for you. Like not only do I want to buy coins, I wanted to sell coins, transfer coins. And that was kind of the origin of Bankr. And then like, how do I make it do that? And like just started, jamming on it. And obviously it should be on X, because actually with the Ham stuff, I had already built like a tip bot on X. So like had experience building there. So I was able to reuse actually some of the Ham infrastructure to get Bankr working on X.
I wanted to ask about your decision to sort of focus early efforts on X, but before we do that, I'd love for you to tell us the lore of the actual Bankr coin, because this is something a lot of people don't know about, which I think is a pretty crazy story. Like, how did the Bankr coin come to be? Because it wasn't from 90 days of business meetings before you planned your token launch, that's for sure.
It's true. So originally I was just going to use TN100X, right? Like whatever I do, like bring the Ham community with me, and like that's the token of Ham, TN100X. And I think it was Emily Jr. That got an MF.
Shout out Emily.
Shout out Emily. So this was still like the beginning of Clanker, and Bankr was running smoothly, and people were using it to buy Clankers early. And I don't know when it was exactly, but I looked at my phone. I was on Farcaster scrolling around, and I saw Bankr had launched its own coin. And I'm like, oh shit, I better get some. And I did, and I saw what happened. So, Emily had basically was having a conversation with Bankr on Farcaster, and he basically said, listen, Bankr, not saying you ever would, but if you were to launch your own coin, what would it be? And tell my friend Clanker about it. Tag Clanker, right? So, and then Bankr's like, okay, just for fun, it would be Bankr coin with the ticker BNKR. And then Clanker subsequently then launched the coin.
Amazing.
Yeah. And like, and given that my agent launched it, I'm like, well, Bankr launched it, so we're going to adopt it. And so,
By the way, I think I've said this before on public spaces and stuff too, but I just think that was such a based move because most people would have done the exact opposite. They would have said, this wasn't the plan, this wasn't, authorized, this, whatever. But instead, you just like embrace the chaos, and I respect that, and I love it actually.
Thanks
cool.
a lot, man. I mean, building in this space is a bit chaotic, and and you do have to like pivot and try new things, and I think this is one of those things where we don't exactly know how it's going to fit in, or at the time we didn't know exactly how it was going to fit in to the whole thing, but like, let's make it work. And so, I mean, it's working. So there you go.
Sometimes if you try to like force lore, it doesn't really work anyway, right? It's like if the bot wants its own coin, you can't force it to use a different one, right?
Right. So we adopted it, and now it's Bankr.
I don't want to derail this too much, but I do want to do a tiny bit of glazing here. I think, like, thank God there are people like you in this space. It makes me feel like it can be extremely successful. And what I mean by that is there are a couple different types of people who crypto attracts. There's a lot of money here, so you attract a lot of people. And for me, since we've been talking, you just seem like a person who is extremely curious, but you feel like the loyalty you have to the people who follow, like who are there for you and like follow you and appreciate you as a builder is awesome to see. You seem to be pushing the boundaries, not just for money or just for this. You seem to be pushing the boundaries because you're truly interested in what can happen next, what you can do or what you can build. At least that's the vibe you're giving me right now, and why I think so many people really just like, I'll follow whatever deployer is doing. So I just want to say thanks. That's great. That's awesome, because there's also that other side where it's like the first time they can, the fact that you were trying to build, even in LP, trying to build something that had an anti-rugging mechanism, like you were thinking of people, not just yourself. I don't know. I just thought that was cool.
That's also kind of related to my previous point too, of like being just rolling with the chaos, because a lot of people, if they were in it for max grift, they would have been like, this isn't the coin because my coin's going to be 80% bundled and it's going to make me a millionaire, not like a coin with like the type of incentive structure that a Clanker coin has.
No, I appreciate that. I think, I think part of that is because, like, I want to be an example of like how Web3 changes things, and how it gives power back to people. Not only community, like the community, but like actual, like if you're building products, like, I'm one guy. I haven't raised VC money. Like, you can do things differently and still be successful in Web3. Now, like with Bankr, like we are looking at, potentially raising money, but like, you can do a lot, in Web3, like on your own, right? Like it's that self custody. And you mentioned Apex earlier.
Yeah.
Similar thing, like a solo builder, and artists, like, I know like NFTs have definitely, been in the shitter, but a lot of early days, like artists were supporting themselves with their art, and like builders are supporting themselves with their builds. It's like a very cool thing, like bringing power back, to individuals.
That's something we talked a lot about with Alex too during the Clanker episode, is just how amazing it is that he was able to build something like this completely bootstrapped, and then also pay it forward by like allowing all this next generation of builders, yourself included, to also bootstrap different ideas with no VC money to be seen.
Yeah.
Or the VCs can just bid, where they know where Uniswap is. So
yeah. And I think, we're seeing this shift, which I'm like happy to play like a small role in. You know, even on Twitter, like it seems to be there's this shift happening towards more like real people, right? Like you had like max extraction for a while and these grifter KOLs, you know, but I hope, and like this is why Farcaster is so cool, is that like you actually get real builders and there's like real alpha on Farcaster. And I hope that like crypto Twitter is moving in that direction. I think it is.
Less vape cabals and more ham cabals. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's it.
So speaking of Twitter, I did want to circle back around to that because I did think that was interesting that you did take a sort of strategic approach of focusing on, you know, making Bankr work on Twitter. Even though you started on Farcaster, the real push for the product was on X. Why did you make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, just we know that like Farcaster is awesome, but like still the bulk of crypto people are on X. And, you know, I think just for Bankr exposure, like I was like, well, I love Farcaster, but like it's got to be on X if we want to take it to where we want it to be. And I think that's proven to be true. You know, if you look at Bankr the last few days, like there was, you know, just mind share through the roof, like even compared to these other agents with teams with far more money and manpower than we have, like just building in the social space where people already are is like so powerful. But again, you know, that initial push from the ham cult, you know, and the community was built on Farcaster, you know, that was a big reason why Bankr is where it is now. Yeah, so like, and even with the ham stuff, like I didn't want to necessarily build on X, but like that's where people were, and like it was kind of my hope that, you know, maybe we could pill people on X and then bring them over to Farcaster, you know, the decentralized version of this.
Farcaster really feels like a place right now where you kind of can develop a core, you can really find good builders, and then you can take it to where the people are next. But it's like you have this smaller space that can really grow a project, incubate a project long enough to take it out into the bigger world, or the, you know, the X.
Yeah, exactly. That's how, yeah, that's 100%. That's how that you get like very valuable feedback on Farcaster. You get like people who are interested in your product. I imagine like the Farcaster team, like or the Farcaster team, that's not what they want to be known as. It's like the little sandbox that people use before they go to X. But it, you know, but there are those benefits now. Like there's like legitimate, you know, interesting things happening on Farcaster. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I think it was Dan himself who posted recently that he started talking to investors and describing Farcaster as the Singapore of social networks. You know, small population, high GDP, and so I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. Like you actually can't compete with X on numbers, so why try?
Yeah, that's a good point. Sure. Yeah, it's like they got to find their niche. Whatever that
or Jack,
be.
when you were talking to Moon Pappy, I listened to that episode actually just yesterday, and when he was talking about the Dune analytics that he brought up of like the GDP of Farcaster and how much undeployed ETH and Sol he found and like connected
it's really
wallets.
interesting. His take on it was pretty funny. Just Farcaster's rich, dude. He was just like they have a lot, and it was fun. It was fun listening to him talk about that. Yeah, Farcaster is just such an interesting place.
Just to be clear, not us, but everyone else on Farcaster.
I work in a basement.
Me too. Yeah, we got two basement dwellers here. Talking about blowing up on X, maybe we could take a second to double click on what happened with the debt relief bot deployment.
Debt relief bot, yes.
Tell us the DRB story, please.
Yeah, so this definitely was interesting. You know, we integrated Clanker into Bankr, right? And Bankr is the sole way to deploy Clankers on X currently. And you know, kind of made a push there, did some announcements about that. People started deploying all these tokens. Then somebody was having a conversation with Grok, and essentially got Grok to recommend a token to Bankr, And of course, Bankr then deployed that token. Now, this is Grok we're talking about, like, one of the most popular AIs in the world, run by, the richest man in the world, right? So, like, obviously there's going to be some hype around this token. And there was and still is. So, it's just in a massive down market, like, there was a few coins that were rallying extremely hard, and that one of them was DRB, Debt Relief Bot, Bankr, riding the wave of the hype on Twitter, Clanker. So, like, these projects kind of started by Farcaster builders were kind of the only things doing well in the market. But yeah, so and I think, like, the DRB narrative is like something that, like, mainstream news outlets and regular people can get behind, like, oh, that's interesting. Debt relief bot. Grok wanted to launch this coin. Like, what a noble AI. He wants to relieve people's debt. And I think a lot of people's debt has been relieved. If we look at the chart, it looks like a lot of people took profits. And I'm seeing different screenshots, like, oh, I paid my taxes with debt relief bot, so thank you. Paid my house bill or something. So that's that's what happened there.
There's something kind of poetic too about how Clanker kind of helped Bankr get started, and then it's almost like Bankr then like bootstrapped Clanker on X in a way.
Yeah. And I think like DRB definitely helped with that too, like just getting it in front of people. Clanker team is awesome, as you guys know, like, awesome partners. So yeah, happy to have Clanker integrated with Bankr, and so if Bankr being successful helps Clanker and vice versa.
Yeah. The winning together narrative still lives on and lives strong. And I love that, when you had conversations with them after things were going on, you were going to be the first person to allow people to clank on X, right? But I know that they were working on it as well. Did they finally just go, like, you know what, like, you do it? Or how did that conversation go at all? Did you talk about it at all with them, or was it more like, I'm just going to build it?
No, we talked about it briefly. I let them know I'm, like, putting Bankr on X, and and we had already talked about integration for Clanker. Obviously I didn't want to step on their toes, so I'm like, if you guys want to build your bot, like, go ahead. Like, I'm already planning on building it, and it'd be super easy for me to do. So, like, if you want me to do it, like, happy to do it. But they had no problem with it. And again, like, it's kind of like we win together. Like, if I do it, great. And the more Clankers launch, the better. And I had pretty much, it was like a very small update to make it work with Bankr, and Bankr was already on X, so kind of just made sense. That's how that conversation went. I mean, there wasn't too much, but I think, again, it's like we win together, and, like, it's a cool narrative, that we align with, and obviously Base aligns with it, and, like, that's why we're building on Base first. So it's like a much more positive sum game than what we've seen, in the trenches. So
is that why you decided to build on Base originally? That was actually on my list of questions to ask you, is kind of what made you choose to build on Base when you decided, even like as far back as porting the LP over to an L2. Why Base?
Base, so it worked well, right? Like, it was easy to get on. It uses ETH as the native currency. I like that. But also, I think that like, just the support from the Base team for projects building on Base early on was probably the biggest reason why I chose to build on Base. Like, I think, and I'll stick to this thought, like, and I've been saying it for a while. Like, I think the support from, like, Jesse and, like, the rest of the Base team is the reason why Base is so popular right now. Like, not only, like, we've had L2s for, like, Arbitrum has been around for a long time, Polygon, but none of them have seen traction like Base in regards to people building interesting things. I think that's just because, the team is just rallying so hard around builders on base.
Yeah.
And having like a front man, Jesse, who's like at the helm, like supporting people. Like, I think that's the reason for the success. And like, that was appealing to me.
We've had so many builders on this podcast, and a lot of them have been building on base just because those are the people that tend to be in our orbit. But we keep hearing that time and time again, just like distribution. Like, having someone who's in your corner that, even if they're just going to retweet what you're building, it means so much when you're just starting out to get those eyeballs.
It really does, right? Because like so many people building cool things, but it's like it's hard to get people to notice.
Yeah, and some ecosystems are so stingy with retweets and like just sharing generally. Like, sometimes people are just so precious about what they put on their social media, and it's like that's such a missed opportunity, I think, for a lot of ecosystems.
100%, man. Like, you need the builders first, right? And that's why like Ethereum is going to continue to thrive. And I know we've seen like tons of Ethereum FUD based on price and Vitalik is doing or not doing on his social media. But like, there's such a huge core of like builders who have been building for many years on Ethereum, and there's infrastructure and tooling. It's not going anywhere.
I actually think too, you're talking about Jesse. I feel like Proxy's done a really good job at this and understanding early, and why I think Clanker is taken off the way it has as a launch pad is that he realized right away you need to amplify the people clanking. You need to amplify the people using your product, and is like constantly out there supporting and sharing and, trying to help grow. If you do something and you're making something cool on Clanker, he's going to share it. He's going to help in some way. And I think that's cool. It's like almost, Jesse's doing that for base, and yeah, and it's working.
And he even tweeted recently that like he implied it was like a VC or someone had called him early on and was like, hey, it's kind of a bad look for you to be promoting, coins that are being launched with your Clanker. And he's kind of like, fuck that. Like, no, like that, this is my business, right? This is, if you're not going to support the people using your product, what are you doing?
Yeah. If all the builders listened to all the VC advice they ever got, nothing would ever get done.
I think we're also coming out of like a PTSD from a really terrible regulatory environment, to be fair. So I
it's
get
true.
that.
It's true. Yeah. No, yeah. But both those guys, Proxy and Jesse, both like inspirational community leaders, right? Like, definitely look up to how they're doing things, right? And I think everyone can take note on like, supporting projects and supporting community goes a long way.
About back on Bankr, sorry, but I wanted to know some more about, I did the Bankr video, but things change, and like there are new things happening. At the time, I found out that you could launch a Clanker. Originally, you had to own some amount of Bankr, correct, to clank on X. Now it's completely open. The floodgates are open, and they're able to, handle that inflow. But what are some of the futures of Bankr? What are some of the futures of what do you see happening for people who are holding the token? Or, I know you have some guides or like ideas that you've spoke about. I just wanted to let you dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So exciting time for Bankr, like super early. We're like still like prioritizing different things. But I did recently announce Bankr Club. So Bankr Club is going to be kind of a subscription to Bankr that gives you various perks. It's $20 a month in Bankr coin. So like, you have Bankr in your Bankr wallet, and every month, Bankr can automatically take that subscription fee just from your wallet. So like that in itself is like kind of interesting, right? Like just paid.
I feel like that could be like an unlock in subscriptions, because it doesn't feel like real money somehow. Like I've been noticing that with Clankermon, Matthew Fox's game, and how like to like level up your mons and stuff, you have to spend or burn Clankermon, and it doesn't really feel like you're spending money in the app, but obviously you are, yeah, it's interesting psychologically.
Yeah, and so Banker Club is going to give you interesting perks like unlimited messages to Banker, right? Because like it costs money to run these LLMs, large language models, and so like there's got to be some cap. Like I'd love to give Banker away for free, but just financially it doesn't make sense. So unlimited messages, lower fees on swaps. Access to new features, like we're going to be building out things like, I don't know, like copy trading and more advanced crypto stuff. So like, as we do that, like Banker Club members are going to get first access and maybe exclusive access to certain things. And then perks like NFT drops, like we're going to add NFT functionality to Banker.
Oh, you are? Okay,
nice.
cool. I heard somebody talking about
like,
this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. We'll do like occasional airdrops. So really, trying to give benefit to whoever is in Banker Club. And I'm actually just looking at the Banker Club NFT. So we're going to give away like to the first 1,000 people that sign up for Banker Club, they're going to get this special edition Banker Club NFT. I'm just looking at Bren, who does all the art for Banker. He's designing this 3D card and it's just spinning on my screen. It's like kind
Amazing.
Of hypnotizing, actually.
When is that going to be? When is that going to be open for subscription so we can make sure we're in that first? What was it?
Yeah.
First 500?
First 1,000. The first 1,000 people. So we're gonna hopefully get it out in the next week. So
Noti's on. This will
Noti's
go out on Tuesday of next week. So don't do it before Tuesday, or you'll make us look like a fool.
Okay. Probably not Tuesday. Probably more later half of the week.
Right.
But let's see what else. Like, so as far as like what's next for Banker, like cross chain support. Adding more chains. Like looking at Polygon, Solana, Avalanche, a few others. But then like also expanding the team, and just like building this into what we want it to be, right? Like, so there's a few parts to it. There's like the underlying technology, which translates natural language into crypto transactions. So we're going to be building that out. But I think
did you have to do like a lot of custom development for that? Like, was there, because it feels like no one else was doing that really. So did you have to do all of this from scratch?
No, so we're using existing models there, but I will say, like, just out of the box, even the best models like are not great at doing crypto transactions, right? Like it'll be accurate, like, I don't know, half of the time or 60% of the time. Like you're going to get
not enough.
Not enough, right? Like, and when you're dealing with money, like it needs to be accurate, like 100% of the time. And like Banker, like given this massive test, like there's hundreds of thousands of messages coming into Banker, and Banker makes very few mistakes. Like it's not perfect yet, but like and it's still in alpha, like it's still early and like still can make mistakes. But like one of the biggest challenges that everybody's going to run into is building an agent like this is getting it to be accurate. And so like I'm pretty proud of like how accurate Banker is, and there's a lot of various things that are happening within like Banker's infrastructure to make sure it is accurate. And so like if it wasn't accurate, people wouldn't be using it.
No, and like it only takes once to get burned by a bot like that and lose money, and you're not coming back, right? So
right.
Stakes are high.
Right. Yeah. So the fact that people are still using it is a testament to that it's accurate enough. But accuracy and speed are going to increase over time, and the models are going to get better, right? Like at some point, like everyone's going to have the best, fastest model, right? And then, so we've planted our flag early. Like I think, like I'm super bullish on building where people are already in the social feed, right? Like that's a big part of the Banker strategy. Is like we're going to continue building out these social features.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good place to talk about the unlock of Privy as well, because I feel like before Privy that wasn't really possible to do on X the way that you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, so Privy launched server wallets, actually, like kind of perfect timing. Like I was using another system
Okay.
called Third Web,
Right.
which is great too, but like I was managing like it's just the financial aspect of it like didn't make sense at
Yeah.
scale. Um, and yeah, Privy announced it. I immediately hit up the Privy team. This is before, I think it's still, you still need like to get, they need to give you access to the server wallets. But I was
Right.
like, hey, I'm building this thing, would love to use server wallets. Cause Privy, we all know and love Privy. They have a tried and true security model and that's something that I'd rather offload to them than have to deal with myself.
Can you explain
Um,
to someone who's watching this what what the Privy Tech does for Bankr, like how it makes every X
Yeah,
account
you can
into a
explain it to
potential
me.
wallet?
I
How it
yeah,
need to
works?
know.
so
I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah,
explain it
so
to
like
Jack.
so Bankr spins up a wallet for you the first time you interact with it, either on X or through the private terminal. Um, and it uses Privy under the hood, so Privy server wallet. So it basically just creates a wallet for you that it has access to. So you, uh, so and it's authenticated via your social account. So if you sign in with X, like that's the only way that you can interact with this wallet, and you're the only one that has access to it. And same with Farcaster. So you sign in with your Farcaster, and it's unique per social account, right? So you get a different wallet on Farcaster as you would with X, um, and uh, and then you
Can you
can
reconcile them or no? I was wondering
not
about
yet
that.
have thought a bit about merging them. I think that probably makes sense. Like some people want it, some people don't. I personally don't mind having two separate wallets. Um, so yeah, so like basically it's like perfect for an agent to have access to a wallet for you, and it's not like and you have to control Bankr via your messages, right? And we're gonna build on that, right? So like we'll add more traditional swap UIs if you want to interact with your wallet that way. But
Have you ever thought about doing something with like human readables? That might be kind of interesting. Like if your Bankr wallet was like automatically JackWyldes.Bankr.eth or something, is that even possible?
I did think about that recently, having like a Bankr ENS
Yeah,
name, but haven't thought too much about it yet.
could be cool. Or maybe you could even use base names or something. I don't know.
But
Yeah,
everybody
hmm
are like
yeah, that'd
has
be
a
cool.
wallet. It's just like they have to claim it eventually. I sent $100 to Post Malone. All he has to do that wallet is there. Like I sent him the $100. So but he has to
So
actually.
Posty, we
No, I
know you're
know. I
watching.
mean, I was just trying to say, but he has to actually go to Bankr. It was similar. It's similar to like when floaties were around, right? Where you would have to go kind of accept the tips after whenever you could tip on X.
Uh, a bit different. Like he's got that now in his
Right.
X Banker wallet. Like he could just tag Banker on X and be like, Banker, you know, swap that for USDC and send it to
Oh,
my
yeah. So
Coinbase
he doesn't
account.
even actually have to
Uh,
go to. Oh, so it just made it though. It's there. It's the wallets are already there for
it's
So
everybody.
there
his wallet was created when
When I sent it,
Jack sent him the money. Then
when he sent him the money. Yeah, the banker checked to see
it's
if
crazy.
Post Malone already had a wallet. He didn't, so he
I
made
made
one,
post.
and then
I
he
helped
sent
make
the
Post
funds to
Malone's
it.
wallet. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
That, that's like you're sending. It's like you're sending money to someone and they don't have a bank account, and you're like, hey, it's no problem.
We're all about onboarding. We're all about making it simple for users like me, like people I want to get on chain, and like this is such a incredible unlock for that. Just so simple.
Yeah, it really is an unlock, right? And I think people are going to be like, wow, like look at what Banker's doing in the social feed. Like we need to start doing something like that, right? So are we going to see more agents sending coins in the social feed? I think we already are. Like,
No, I just said the social feed piece is so crazy. Like the way it affects people's psychology. I've seen that a lot with like lots of people that have built integrated apps on Farcaster, like Seneca with rounds, and how like having it integrated with the social feed, changed the game so much that he literally sunset Prop House that he'd been working on for 2 years because having rounds on the social graph was so much better. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
Right, because you're going where the people already are, and it has like built-in virality. That's what we like to say.
Yeah, and people act different too. I think like people maybe launch a Clanker in the feed, but they never would launch a coin on a launch pad.
Right, exactly. Kind of just this. Yeah, the social aspect is super powerful.
Sorry, Jack, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just wondering how many people since Bankr's success recently. I mean, I feel like it's kind of been growing, but like it had that big pop recent. How many knockoffs have already come out, or that you've noticed, or people who are just like, yo, I want your tech. How do I, or just copying you straight up?
So I mean, I haven't seen too many. I mean, the social feed, you know, I don't know. Maybe there's other agents that are sending coins that people are trying to push out. Or I've seen a couple like token launch pads.
Like Klyza, is that one?
And like, oh, Klyza, yeah. So like, you know, again, like the all the Bankr features, it's kind of hard to build. Like, it's not like an easy, like you can spin up a primitive version, but like,
yeah,
you're just super accurate
ahead,
right? So it's like we're a bit ahead, yeah. So like you know, we planted our flag early, like I said, and we're in social, and I think that gives us an advantage, you know, and like we've got a big community behind us, and you know, we're building, and you know, I think Clanker, you know, same thing. Like there's a lot of other token launch pads, but like I don't think any have dominated the mind share like Clanker has. And,
it's really interesting, yeah.
You know, and you know, we're kind of building this thing, you know, together. And you know, obviously Base and Coinbase is super supportive. So you know, I think we're in a pretty good position.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys are good guys. I love it. I think it's awesome. I love how
it's nice to see the good guys winning. You know, like you said, like Proxy is a good deal. Like in the example of like just a builder, like an independent builder, a group of independent builders, like kind of making it right, like power back to the people. You know.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about Deployer was the other announcement that you posted at the time of this recording earlier this week, where you had to talk a little bit about changing plans for staking and a couple other things that you had planned. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why the change of plans and what that means for the future of Bankr?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, originally we had like planned to, you know, give Bankr revenue to people who stake the token in some capacity. And in addition, TN100X too. So like TN100X and Bankr stakers. And I think it's like the perfect model, really. I think, you know, it's like Bankr gets revenue. You're incentivized to hold the coin and stake the coin. And like, it's just so good for everyone involved. But, you know, given, you know, we've got, you know, something real here with Bankr. Like we've been kind of taking the, you know, doing things the right way. And like, we're in the US, right? So like we have to abide by US laws. And like, you know, we've been talking with lawyers and, you know, really knowledgeable lawyers about securities laws and things like that. And basically, you know, that is a definition security, like rev share to stakers. Like we just can't do it, right? That puts us at risk. Like once there's a regulatory path to that, like, you know, I want to do staking, right? It's like, but right now, like we just can't do it. Is it off the table forever? No. Is it happening now or anytime soon? Probably not. So, you know, we had to walk that back, unfortunately. Like,
and that probably blocks other things too, like other forms of legitimacy and, you know, other partners who want to be involved with Bankr too and stuff, right?
And that's it. Like, you know, I know, like, you know, if you're an exchange in the US, like you can't list securities, right? Like, so like if there's any chance of any exchange wanting to list Bankr, like they're going to take a hard look. Is this thing a security? And because by them listing securities, you know, they're putting themselves at risks. Like, you know, obviously the administration now is different, but you saw before, like exchanges were being sued by the SEC for listing unregistered securities.
Yeah, they all just had those dismissed. I don't think they want any new ones to replace them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like, hard to tell what exchanges are thinking, but just from our end of things, like, and it's not just about like that, but like more so like we don't want to put ourselves at risk unnecessarily, right? When really we just want to build like the most successful product we can, right? And like actually change how things are done. And so like skirting the law is like not a good way to do that.
That starts to put you in the other camp,
Yeah. We can't do it. Like, that you see the biggest coins and like the biggest projects in crypto, they have like I think like Uniswap is the perfect example, right? Like they're doing things by the book, and like you could say like they changed the game, right? Like Uniswap is still like one of the biggest used products ever. Like how much volume are they doing? And like, so, anyway, we're doing things by the book.
So what you're saying is when Uniswap finally turns the switch on, the fee switch on, then we can come back to you and ask.
Then we'll go back to staking. Yeah, when Uniswap turns the fee switch on, right? Then we'll have the discussion again.
That'll be our follow-up ZeroPod with Deployer.
Yeah.
I love it. Maybe we can finish this off just by asking, what are you most excited about for the rest of 2025? Someone said very rudely earlier this week that apparently 1/3 of the year is already gone, which I thought was a pretty rude thing to say.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so 1/3 of the year is gone. What are you excited about for the latter?
Oh, I'll tell you. Let's get through the rest of whatever time period it takes to get back to like up only. Kind of been down only since for a while now. So like, all right, we're in like the best regulatory environment for crypto that has ever existed ever. Like, when can our coins go back up?
Yeah, why is the price the same as it was in 2020? I don't understand.
Yeah, being an ETH maxi,
it's hard. It's hard out there.
Ignoring that, yeah. But looking forward to like actually getting through the craziness and like getting back to reality. Like, yes, like let's like build cool things and like get some sensible crypto policies so we can continue building cool things like staking. But then like just excited to make Bankr better, make it faster, add more features, add more chains. That's kind of what I'm thinking about.
What does Bankr look like in the future? Do you think it's something that people always primarily use in the social feed, or do you think the terminal becomes people's go-to wallet or some combination?
One thing I'm kind of bullish on is like third-party integrations with Bankr. So like working on a way to do that, like integrating Bankr into third-party wallets or whatever. Like I think the future, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is like you're using technology and you don't even really know you're using it. So like imagine you're like talking with your banker through text, and it's like giving you updates, and you don't really know what it's doing under the hood, but you've got it on your phone. It's a text message. You're like, and it texts you, hey, this coin is like looking pretty good. Do you want to buy it? You're like, yeah, Bankr, buy it for me. So like building out like the infra, getting it supported in more places, and obviously like the social feed will still be important, but like the underlying technology is like super powerful too. So expanding that, and then adding like new financial aspects to it, like can Bankr support like buying stocks, and as stocks are coming on chain, definitely 100%.
Yeah, the coin, someone already put coin stock on exchange somewhere.
Yeah,
on the
I
DEX.
saw that.
Yeah, pretty cool. Jack, do you have any
I
other
have one
questions
that's
on your list?
just a kind of me question, I guess. But you strike me as a person who obviously you're working a lot. It's just you, mostly you, and you have a hidden co-founder. But if you have some time to decompress, if you need to take a little break, what is the thing that you're going to go towards first? Like, what does your deployer's free time look like?
I'm going to the mountains, dude. Going somewhere nice, nature.
Nice.
That's a nice way to decompress for me. Just get out in nature.
Hiking or
So,
camping or both?
yeah, hiking. I like I like camping, but I like amenities. So I'd probably find, get a nice
Glamping? Is Deployer a glamper?
glamping. I'm more of a glamper than a hardcore camper, to be honest. But
Okay,
like,
we got our title for the episode. Deployer the
yeah,
glamper.
Florida the glamper. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. I've been thinking about. I'm like, man, I need to get away. Get somewhere, get out in nature. So
Here in Canada, we only have like 5 months of good weather. So we actually, my wife and I just booked a bunch of camping trips for this summer because you have to book like 3 months in advance when it opens, essentially, because it's so popular.
yeah, everyone wants to do it. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's limited. When we put this out, you're not going to be doxxed. Me and Jack got to see
Yeah.
you, so we're lucky. But you're just gonna be a floating PFP probably. So maybe we should ask you about your PFP, since that's what most people have been staring at for the last 2 hours. What is this PFP? What's the story behind the WASI?
So I bought a Wasi at one point, and I'm like, I just thought it was so funny. This little Wasi, it's got like little sandals on, and it like my Wasi without any clothes on, it's just like he's got his little sandals, and he's funny. Uh, and it's like just a funny PFP. And then people started like adding things to my Wasi. Like one person added a ham hat to the Wasi, and then the unicorn floaty, which we didn't touch on, like what the lore is there, but there's ham lore with the unicorn floaty. So I had Bren, who, like I said, has done all like the memes, the ham memes, and he drew the Bankr box. I'm like, hey, can you put a unicorn floaty on my Wasi? And then it's kind of, just become this like the most epic PFP I've ever had. And it like ties back into the project. So like, I love it. Yeah. So it's the Wasi with the unicorn floaty, and the ham hat.
Yeah, those of us that went through 2021 in particular, most of us fell in love with one particular NFT, and it just became us, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, like, it's become personalized to me, right? Like it's
true. Yeah.
So I
CC0 for the win. How much do you cringe when people call the Bankr microwave?
That's got to be the end. Is like you have to settle the argument, I guess.
It's more. I mean, it's okay. I will say it's definitely not a microwave.
Oh, you heard it here first.
There was this other bot that was a microwave, and people were saying, "Oh, Bankr ripped off the microwave." I'm like, it's not even a microwave. It's more like it's more akin to a TV, but like was a TV as a microwave? No, it's a Bankr. It's a Bankr box.
I always saw it as like a CRT monitor. That's what I kind of thought it was.
Yeah, a monitor. Yeah, monitor.
Like a terminal kind of thing,
It's like a terminal.
I like calling it a toaster oven for some reason. I don't know why. I just think it sounds good. Doesn't. It
doesn't. Even worse than microwave,
something
bro.
About toaster sounds cool. I don't know. I just like that, but I know it's not. But it's fun. I like that it can be whatever you want. It's a little ambiguous. You can kind of be like, exactly. It ends up just being it is the Bankr box, but it's a bit ambiguous. You can decide that's a toaster to me. Yeah,
could be whatever you want. It could be a toaster. It could be an oven. Not an oven.
Yeah.
Microwave.
Air fryer.
TV.
Could be an air fryer. Who knows? A lot of cool utilities that you could have in your kitchen. It could be a lot of those, or a TV.
That's actually the future of Bankr that he's not able to share with us yet, but it's actually going to be a kitchen appliance. It's the next version of Bankr.
It'll be something you put on your desk.
Like Bankr, cook me a bagel and buy me
new game
must.
system.
Yeah, I will say, like, you see all the like what these humanoid robots are gonna look like, and like they're all polished and cool and like slick. But like, what I want my robots to look like a Bankr, like this kind of like old technology thing, but like
it goes right back to where we started, like where you came from, and that tangible technology. That's something pretty about that classic Tamagotchi style 90s everything. I do want to throw a quick shout out though to your art team and Bryn. You said Bryn is the one, because your like I think you have a really strong aesthetic, and I really enjoy it. I think that's helping too. It's just a really clean, simple, and I don't know, it's a vibe. I really like it. So shout out Bren who does, you know, your guys' logoing work or whatever artwork that they're doing is great.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very, that was very intentional. Or like coming from Ham, like my goal with Ham is like, so we talked about the power of like social, but I also think there's power in like fun and silliness. And like, that's what I was like building Ham around, is like this fun thing to do on the internet. It's kind of silly, but like gives you like this brief moment of joy. And I like brought that with me to Bankr. Like I was like, and my co-founder kind of pushed back. It's like, well, we should maybe do it slick. I'm like, no, dude, we're not going to do that. Like, it's super important that we use this box, and this is how the box looks, and this is what Bankr is, and like, so like, there's something approachable to it, right? Like, yeah, this is, and yeah, so there's power there too. But yeah, like, but Bren has like absolutely killed it, and like Faku, you know, he's been in the nouns.
Oh, I didn't know Faku was involved. Yeah, I love Faku.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
So you know, he's doing the design for like the website and stuff, and like him and Brand have worked together a bit. So like, yeah, shaping up to be a killer team.
That stuff matters so much, actually, and like, you deserve all the flowers for it, because a lot of times people, when they are more technical focused, they have a temptation that's understandable just to ship the thing, and then they ship out like the ugliest site you've ever seen known to man. And you might only get one chance to get someone to use your product, right? So that aesthetic really matters, I think.
Yeah, well, like going back to what I said earlier, like you know, a lot of that, it was very useful to like start it in like web design, like the front facing part of the product, right? And then moving to the back end.
Awesome. And maybe finally, any alpha you can share with us?
Any alpha? I mean, you know, like we talked about Bankr Club coming hopefully next week. So, you know, and again,
which is this week in the future.
This week in the future. Yep, exactly.
That's fine.
So there's that. Yeah,
I'm going to be in that first 1,000. I'll tell you that right now. I got you.
Yeah,
I got noties on.
I think it's going to be easy enough to get in. Right? Like, I mean, 1,000 is a lot of spots.
No,
I'm not going to leave it a chance.
Yeah, that's gonna. I think you might underestimate how many people are going to want to get in there. But yeah, that's exciting. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. It's awesome. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. No, it's been fun. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for everything you've built. And we'll have you on after the Uniswap switch happens.
Yes.
Later on this year.
Yes.
No, but thank you so much. And
also, anytime you know you want fun content or goofy, I mean, you know, you've seen my style enough. Like, I enjoyed making that Bankr video, and if you ever like, hey, we got something cool coming out, and you just want to share it with me and say if you want to do something with this or whatever, I'm always down to help in those ways, because you know we obviously support people building real things. So if we can do that, we would.
Nice, man. Okay, cool. Good to know. I mean, a few things come to mind. Just like, so I'll definitely probably take you up on that offer.
Hit us up.
Sounds good, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you both on chain. Appreciate your time.
Cool.
Later.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.